Hi guys, welcome back to the Money Talk series. And today we're going to be looking at the topic the ripple effect of exchange rate hikes. And joining us today we have Fumi Bokoyi and Yusuf. So welcome to the show, Fumi.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank
Yusuf
you.
too, how are you doing?
Thank you so much.
Okay, today, just like I stated, we're looking at the topic that says the ripple effect of exchange rate hike. So what do we know about exchange rates? You can tell me exchange rate. When you hear exchange rate, what comes to your mind?
Okay, I think exchange rate I could refer to an instance when the currency of a particular country is higher than in relation to the currency of another country.
Okay.
So, and what actually makes a country have a high exchange rate, rather what makes a currency very high is when the currency is in demand. So when the currency is in demand, it's results in high exchange
Just
rate.
like USD to Naira.
Yeah, so when the US dollar is in high demand, the rate of the currency of the US dollar in relation to the naira will be high.
That's fine. Do you have any contrary opinion to that?
I think she just hit the nail on the head because exchange rate simply refers to a currency appreciating or depreciating with respect to another currency. So there's always one currency gaining and the other currency losing.
So what are the factors that you think can actually affect exchange rates? If you
Alright,
can.
I would say that if you look at interest rates,
Okay.
the interest rate of, let's say, the central bank interest rate of a particular country.
Yeah.
You understand? It's a strong point when you're talking about exchange rates. If you look at the government policies,
Mhm.
the economic policies taken by the government, it also helps determine the exchange rate. If you also look at some sentimental analysis, like all the stock traders and forex traders in that country, there are some sentiments, there are certain things that could be said that could trigger the markets. It could be impulsive, it could be regressive. Then, if you also look at the production capacity of a country, so if a country is producing, what happens is people buy their currency to trade with them. Then, if you look at a country that isn't producing anything, nobody is buying their currency,
Currency.
and so they are buying other currencies. So it's simple logic. When there's a high demand for something, the value goes up,
So,
and then when there's excess supply and no demand, then you know what happens.
because we can bring that in the case of Nigeria Naira
Exactly,
to that's fine.
exactly.
So because looking at it now for like a period of time, see how the US dollar is taking a line against Naira now.
Exactly.
What do we think? What has been the impact of businesses so far now?
I think for businesses that majorly import from like other countries,
Yeah.
especially maybe for the US that's producing some things and they have to get goods from the US, it's going to really affect them.
Yeah.
They'll be paying like two times what they
Five or
usually,
six times
yes,
now because the way
four
the rate at
times,
which
six
it's only
times
increased was
increasing,
so
and
much.
therefore businesses have to like increase their price as well, because I cannot be buying something and not making profit on what I'm buying. So it's really going to tell a whole lot of businesses, especially businesses that import products and they don't produce in their country. It's going to be very, very
Okay.
tough for them.
You used to watch.
So if you look at what has happened, there are quite a number of decisions the government took
Yeah.
that has caused this to happen.
Mm.
And I won't want to go into details, but I would say that some of those decisions have scared foreign investors, because if you look at for the area of pharmaceuticals, we had some foreign investors, or would I say expatriates, here in Nigeria that were in that business. And because of some of the government policies, these guys have packed up and have left the country. So what happens now? So initially they produce those drugs here in Nigeria, and then we pay for those drugs in Naira. Now we would have to import those same drugs from other countries and would have to buy
Currency.
foreign currency to, and then you see we're not making headways. Yeah.
So what strategies do you think businesses can take right now in this kind of situation now?
I don't think the businesses own, they have any concrete or solid control over
Yeah.
what's happening. I think it
I think
boils
is there a
down
way they
to,
can control it, or maybe they can have some checks they can take on
Mitigate
it.
the
Yeah,
effects.
mitigate. Yeah.
yeah, by just focusing. I think most of the businessmen, the so-called businessmen, that's the bourgeois in our country, should invest more on production.
Mm.
Yeah, they should invest more on
Locally.
production locally, exactly. And then the government should also support local manufacturers by creating an enabling environment for them to thrive. We have Inuson Motors here in
Yeah.
Nigeria that produce vehicles. So if you look at the situation, or yeah, the situation where we had lawmakers buying vehicles of over 100 million, if they had bought vehicles made in Nigeria, it would have strengthened our economy. But
Mm.
where look at the amount of money we spent, that's we're using the naira to buy the
USD.
dollar, to buy those vehicles and bring them here, and we're still crying that we're not doing too much. So I feel we the world doesn't owe us anything.
Mm. And I think another way that businesses can actually mitigate the effects is
Yeah.
to have like to invest in assets, like have other some people it's just that one business they
Yeah,
have
they're
and they don't
running.
have other investments. Things like this can actually happen. So it's always important to have like several investments or assets that you have that can always cover for extra expenses that may rise as a result of exchange rates or inflation. So
That's,
it's very, very
that's very nice.
important.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, we're also going to be looking at the effect also on employers and employees. Now, we're looking at the purchasing powers now because me, myself, I'm an employee. So, I know how it has actually affected me. Like, I can't just go to the market now. Since I purchased for as low as maybe 300 naira, like, then let me say, like, early this year. Right now, it's going as high as maybe 600 to 800 naira. So, what has been the effect so far?
I think the effects on okay, let me talk of employers
Yeah.
first. So now for tech companies, now let me use example of tech
Yeah.
companies. Let's say the subscription that they usually pay, and most of the subscriptions that companies have are in US dollars.
USD, yes. For the
So
servers and all.
for the servers and not, and so for example, if I was paying like 1,000 naira for a particular service
Yeah.
last year, I can be paying as much as 3,000 naira. That's like times three. And most subscriptions are running into millions, especially for servers and data infrastructure and the rest. So it's really telling a lot on employers, being able to still cut expenses. Expenses have risen and you still have to pay salaries and all.
And you
So
can't even
it's
increase your charge again.
yes, so, because people will like it's dollar increasing everything. Everybody's using dollars an excuse as to
Sure.
increase everything today. Then for the employees, I'm going to say that in fact, employees just like you mentioned,
Yeah.
cost of living has automatically increased. Cost of transportation and everything else, and the effect on employees might be demotivated when you are coming to work and the things that you are buying, it just feels as if that salary is not enough because the salary you were working with, the way things were, you felt like okay, I can still manage myself, but with the high increase of things now, you're just coming to work and you're like everything is increasing and yet my salary is remaining the same. Those kind of things can actually demotivate employees. It affects everyone.
Okay.
But
Yeah, like I feel Fumi has said everything because there's nothing to add anymore. The effect is terrible on both employers and employees. So I feel like there's little or nothing that we can do at this point in time. We're just hoping the government, because no matter how prudent we claim to be or we are, the policies of the government would either hamper our efforts or enable us to do better, because no matter how hardworking you are, if the policies the government have imposed on us is not creating an enabling environment, then will just be in a loop. There will be no progress. We'll just have some
Just going on.
yeah, yeah.
So this brings me to my next question. So what policies do you think the government can actually adopt to keep us all in check and also to find a way to strengthen our naira compared to
All right, I would say that the government should work on security.
okay.
Security is one of the reasons why some investors have left Nigeria.
Okay.
Because if you can tackle security, then you attract foreign investors. When you have foreign investors, you have people manufacturing. We have quite a number of natural resources here in Nigeria. So if we have investors coming here and manufacturing, producing, and we don't have to export and import all of those things, it's going to strengthen our naira. We also have the capacity to also export. Then if you look at energy, power,
Yeah.
it's another area where the government can pay uh, close attention to, making sure that we have sufficient power to power our manufacturing industries. And with that, because okay, if you look at, we're all employees. If you look at how much your your organization have spent on not power now, maybe buying fuel and other things just to generate, because we need power. If you're in the tech industry, your computers need power. If you are in the manufacturing industries, those machines, they need power. So if you look at the cost of buying fuel, add it to the cost of electricity, and then you look at how much you spent on just one aspect of production. So if we can cut down the extra fees on buying fuel and all of that, and just channel it into a stable electricity supply, then we would have so much progress. Then we should, lastly, I'll just talk about interest rates.
Yeah.
So if the government can look at how they could bring out good interest rates that could favor the economy, because if the interest rates are a bit better, they are higher, then you have the government generating more. So if the governments are generating more, foreign bodies like the IMF would understand that okay, this government is capable of controlling their own economy. So they also advise investors to also come into the country to to yeah.
This is very, very insightful. So, we're also going to be looking at what are the things we can give the general public to also keep in check, or let me just put it in a way like, what advice can you give the general public in this time, of this whole hike in the exchange rate? What are the things that they can do to maybe, for example, now maybe cut down of expenses, like maybe invest more or save more in USD? What are those kind of things? Those are what I'm asking.
Okay, I think let me just what I'm going to advise the public is
Yeah.
that it's important that at this time when you've looked at how the cost of things are rising, it's time to start budgeting things like budget. Oh, this is what I'm going to spend on this.
Yeah.
Saving and budgeting and investments. Investments, like I mentioned earlier, is not just for businesses alone. It should be for individuals. Like your expenses, your assets should be the one funding your liabilities, like your expenses, not even your main income. So it's very, very important that you also have like invest in assets, like let your assets be more than your liabilities at this time. So it's very, very important to cut down on spending budgets, have investments, then produce. It's very, very important. We should not just be consumers, we should also produce. It really, really helps to generate profit. And so those are just things.
So I'm very confident that if the government puts all those things I've mentioned in place, Nigerians are hardworking, Nigerians are innovators. So I'm very confident that we have a lot of manufacturers here in the country. So like she said, it's time to cut down expenses on frivolities. So if there are certain things that are not giving you, let me say, needs right now, just spend on needs. Leave the wants for later.
There should be a scale of preference.
Yeah, spend on needs, not wants. So, ladies, the Brazilian hair, you have to drop it down, the nails and all of that.
Yeah,
Say need, please.
you need, now you need.
If it is a need, you
Okay.
can do it because they're important too.
Thank you very much for me and so just as you heard, viewers. So one thing we should do is try and create a budget, cut down on expenses, only things that you need, only things that are very, very important. Let there be a scale of preference.
Yeah.
Choose from the most important one. And also, let us also
Invest in
invest in our assets. Thank
very
you very much.
important.
Very, very important. Invest more in assets. Okay, thank you, viewers, for joining us on today's episode of the Money Talk series. Comment, like, share, and subscribe. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.